Hello, Phil from the Backroads Riding channel coming at you today to talk about the Yi 4K action camera. We're going to cover some quick settings of how to get good quality footage out of your camera right out of the box. So let's get started on that video. The Yi 4K action camera is a great alternative to the GoPro and a very reasonable price. The last time I checked, I believe it was $165 on Amazon, which is what I paid for it when I bought mine a few months ago. I've been testing out the footage on this camera and it has got some really good quality images right out of the box, and I want to show you some of the settings that I use to get even higher quality footage when you do video editing in post-production. But before we get to that, I want to encourage each of you to subscribe to the channel down here in the little corner. And if you can support our channel, if you like this video, make sure that you press like, and that'll help us out greatly as we try to make new content for you and our other viewers. So let's get to the settings on the video. Okay, so the settings that I'm going to show you today, there's going to be two different levels of settings. The very first one that we're going to go through right now is what I would use for my daily driving. This camera has become my daily driver camera, so to speak. It is the one I use for my dash cam footage when I'm driving in my truck or my car, and it's also the one that I use for my day-to-day commuting on my motorcycle. So I don't want to do any editing to that footage typically. If I'm going to do editing, I'll change the settings, but for just day-to-day driving, these are the settings that I use for the best image and best movie quality that I could just out of the camera, plug it in, play it, and I don't have to mess with anything. So it'll be 1080p at 60 frames per second. I have a field of view set to wide, and then I have my metering mode set to spot. My video quality is set to high. My white balance is set to auto. My color is set to Yi color. My ISO max is also set to auto. My sharpness is set to high, and my EV compensation is set to 0. Now, if you notice, most of the settings that are set in here are auto and pretty much how it comes out of the box from the factory. I leave my white balance and my ISO set at auto because for me, my day-to-day driving, I typically leave in the morning and it's dark. And by the time I get to work, the sun is up and the day is moving on. And I don't want to constantly stop and start my footage to have the white balance change and the ISO change to reflect the appropriate amount of light being let into the lens. So I leave pretty much my settings to auto, and this gives me a really good quality daily driver footage. Now the second set of settings that I'm going to talk about are when you are going to be doing editing in post or after the video has been created and you want to change the color balance, you want to change how it looks in something like Adobe Premiere or Final Cut or other editing software. So for me, these are the settings that in my opinion provide the highest quality setting for post filming editing. The resolution, I'm going to stay at 1080p, 60 frames per second. You can change that to another resolution if you wish, 4K or 2.7K, whatever you want to use. I typically stay at 1080p, 60 frames per second, unless I have a very specific reason why I want to modify that. My field of view, I will still leave it wide because when I'm riding my motorcycle, I want my field of view to be absolutely as wide as possible. My metering mode, when I'm going for post-video editing, I'm going to change my metering to be average. And then I'm going to go down to my video quality, leave it at high. My white balance, I'm going to put to native. That gives me a natural color balance. My color, I'm going to move to flat. And my ISO max, it depends on when I'm shooting. Typically, if it's during the day, I'm going to shoot at a 400 ISO. Now on the Yi 4K, it does not have the ability to lock your ISO to one particular speed. So in this case, the Yi will automatically adjust my ISO from 100 to 400 depending on what level it needs to get the maximum amount of light to the lens. So it won't let it go over 400, and that's where I usually get my best footage. Now on the sharpness, I'm going to drop that down to low because I prefer to do my sharpening in post-production or in post-editing, and it gives me a better quality on the sharpness. The Yi has a tendency on its whites to blow out the whites when you're running in flat mode. So your highs are blown out and kind of washed out. And so I will take my EV compensation and I will drop that down to a -1, as long as it's during the day. Now, if you try to do this, you know, in the evening or in the early morning, that's going to make your camera too dark. You won't be able to really use it. But for daylight footage, definitely drop it down to the -1. If you're running the flat color mode, you'll get a lot better color and a lot better footage. Everything else I pretty much leave the same. Every once in a while, I'll turn on the electronic image stabilization. But on the Yi, I typically don't do that. It has a tendency to, especially when you're moving from side to side, if the camera's on the front of your helmet, the Yi doesn't deal real well with that. It has a tendency to kind of jump a little bit. So I don't use the electronic image stabilization that much. I do on the Hero 6. That camera's got really good electronic stabilization, but I don't care for it as much on the Yi 4K. I haven't had a chance to try the Yi 4K Plus. It may be better on that camera. Other than that, those are the settings that I would set. I leave everything else the same. So these settings will give you, in my opinion, the highest quality video footage that you can use for editing after you have shot your video. Now I'm going to show you a couple sample clips that will show you the settings for each of the options that we gave you today. The first will be 1080p, 60 frames per second, which will show you the Yi color scheme and all the default settings pretty much set to auto like I showed in the video. The second will be 1080p, 60 frames per second, with the custom settings that I have. Now the color scheme of the one that has the default settings in this video is going to look like it has better color, but that is because no color grading has been done on either sample. Once you get into post editing, like in something like Premiere or Final Cut, you're able to add a lot more color and settings to the flat video. So let's take a look at those videos so you can compare the quality of the footage between each. Well, there you have it. That is the video that deals with the quality settings on the Yi 4K camera. This is a great camera for anyone who's looking to get into the action camera market. At $165, you can't beat it. Not for the quality of camera that you get. It's comparable to any GoPro that's in its class. I wouldn't compare it to the Hero 6 just because there's more features on that camera, but it definitely is comparable to the Hero 5. And I would highly recommend this camera. It's a great camera, runs really well, and in some ways is superior. It has some issues, but in some ways it's a better camera. So I really like it. It's a great addition to my equipment, and I encourage you to go out and buy one. We will include links in our video description to this equipment, and we encourage you to go there and take a look. We also encourage you to click on the subscription button down there, subscribe to our channel so you can see all the new content that we're going to have going forward. If you like this video, please click the like button. That is a great help to us, helps us to promote our channel better. I hope this video has been a benefit to you, and we encourage you to come back and check with us regularly. I want to thank each and every one of you for getting us past the 100 subscriber mark. I know it doesn't seem like much, but for me it's a big deal. So I appreciate each of you subscribing, and we look forward to seeing you in our next video.